What is a disabled people's organisation?
Our organisation is very important. It's run by disabled people. All our trustees are disabled people. We think disability is a rights issue. We take a human rights-based approach to our work, and we base it on the social model of disability. And we think it's very, very important that disabled people are in the driving seat. Because if we're going to change society so that disabled people are equal, then disabled people need to change the world. And other people can't do it for us. We need to do it for ourselves. We need allies, but it has to start from disabled people.
People first started because we, what we think and what we actually have to say about our lives is actually really important. People with learning difficulties are not told what their rights are and how to actually implement their rights. Okay, and for as long as we are needed to actually in that position, there will always be a need for people first.
I think disabled people's organisations are even more important now because of all the cuts after the comprehensive spending review, because a lot of disabled people are scared, terrified about the changes that's going to affect their lives. The role of disability organisations is actually to help disabled people understand some of this when we do understand it, and the sort of peer support is very important, and campaigning. One of the side, I think, for disabled people organisations is precisely that, the campaigning bit, which is really, really important right now.
I think the two words that come to my mind is choice and control, and I think that epitomises what Disability Cornwall does, and that disabled people are in control and they have increased choices.
We're here, to represent disabled people and to ensure that voice gets forward. And sometimes you can hear access, oh, access again. But you know what? It's the most important thing. And if disabled people aren't having equal access to whether it's public buildings or to services, then organisations like ours need to focus on it. And that's the point that we're here for.
I've worked in the private sector. I've also worked in the voluntary sector for organisations that are not run by disabled people. And I think there is something when you come to a DPO, there's a shared vision going on. So we're an organisation that is fundamentally about social change, it's about campaigning, it's about changing the law and changing the policy so that inclusive education is a right for all learners. And if you start from that perspective, you can avoid some of the huge pitfalls that there have been amongst disabled people's organisations all across the country, where suddenly all of that really important social change work just disappears because you're kind of struggling for your existence. And that's not to say that Alfie isn't having to do that. We're living in a world where campaigning has become kind of a dirty word, really, where the government doesn't want any real challenge. It wants everything to happen easily, and it wants everything to happen by the faceless private sector. But that's why this organisation and other DPOs are absolutely crucial for the kind of like the survival of disabled people's equality and our sort of voice in society. If we don't exist and other organisations like ours, the movement falls apart.
To UK DPC, a disabled persons organisation is an organisation that is governed by disabled people. For us, a disabled persons organisation has to be self-defining as well. We do, in terms of our membership, what we will do is look at the organisation's constitutions, their memorandum and articles, and seek evidence that they are truly led by disabled people in terms of the decision makers in the organisation. But how an organisation may choose to define itself as a DPO, we're not really there to police that side. But what is important is that those individuals working for the organisation and those who are leading it have personal experience of impairment, have personal experience of disability, and are able to represent the interests of disabled people, both from a personal perspective, but also from the perspective of the community that they represent.
Disabled people's organisations are for disabled people from all backgrounds and all communities. DPOs welcome and empower disabled people with all impairments.